Hi, welcome back to this episode of the Media and Content Business. And this week I have with me Harish. And Harish is the co-founder of CTQ Compounds. And first of all, thanks a lot, Harish, for coming down here and taking time out to speak to me.
Hi, Jugal, and thanks again for actually having me here. So, recorded quite a few podcast episodes. It's good fun to be on the other side for a change.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So for guys who don't know, CTQ basically means choose to think,
That's right.
and CTQ compounds from a layman's perspective helps you read, helps you build up the habit of reading so that you become more smarter, more wise. It helps you up level. But Harish, I'm going to leave that to you. What is it exactly that CTQ does?
Yeah. So it's a longish story. So since we have some time, let me go down that route, right? CTQ stands for Choose to Think. We've been running Choose to Think, I and Ramanand, since 2014, and we've always had a lot of interest in things like habit building and reading and learning. Most of us at CTQ are quizzers, but one thing that we had noticed was that many of our employees were not really interested in reading a lot of business slash non-fiction kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
They were well read otherwise, but there were quite a few things that he and I would know and would intuitively, instinctively understand, and others would not. So this was something which was at the back of our minds. We had signed up for Blinkist, the book summary app,
Right.
and even the two of us had actually not done justice to Blinkist. And so two three things in parallel that were going on, right? So one was this thing gnawing at the back of our minds that we are not reading enough, though we were quite well read. um, the other thing was that we had done some work around habit building. So we figured out. So we studied habit building. We took a course with Professor B.J. Fogg from Stanford, who talks a lot about micro habits, tiny habits. So we did that course, and we thought, what's the best way of actually implementing that? And around that time, it was end of December. So just on a whim, we said, let's start this as a New Year resolution, where we
Okay.
will, try to break this whole process of habit building into two,
Okay.
three parts, right? So one is curation of what we want to read. So since we
Okay.
have this app and we're not doing good justice to the subscription, let's read. And we said, whoever wants to join within CTQ, you can join us. Harish and Ramanand are going to be reading every day. And we said, we'll do this routine where every day after we read, we will do this, yes. And, that's the whole point of building that, tiny habit, right? That you're supposed to celebrate. And it has to be a physical cue. So we said, we're going to do all these things. So whoever wants to join, let's get started, and we can do this as a group. We said we'll post this on a WhatsApp group. We created a separate group for this, and since it was a fun experiment, and we do a lot of these things, at CTQ, we actually started posting about it on social media as well. And people said, oh, we also want to be a part of this. How can we join this? And we started posting every day that this was, one takeaway from the book, and all of that. And people were very happy, and they were actually missing out. So they said, we also want to be a part of it. We said, no, this is Blinkist app, and we've signed up for the subscription. This is not something which we can share like that. So, and we
Right.
said, let us first figure it out, what we are doing. So we did this over, 4 to 5 months, and we figured out, how to actually build this habit. We had a few challenges initially. Couple of people dropped off for a couple of days. We changed themes. We rotated, who will curate the books. Somebody wanted to do more of food related books, and somebody wanted to do more of science and all those things. And we figured out what is required to get this habit.
Okay.
We also got a bit obsessive about it, where we said, okay, now we should compound everything. Right now, it's we figured out how this habits compound. So
Right.
let's start a compound for writing. Let's start a compound for working on some product idea, this and that. And then we actually figured out what works and what doesn't work.
Okay.
And over 6 months, so this demand from outside CTQ was getting more and more vocal that we also want to be part of this. We know you guys, do a lot of good curation. So then we said, okay,
Right.
let's start something. And we said we will curate content because we
Okay.
generally read a lot. So we said we will
Okay.
curate content and we will share this on a WhatsApp group, and we will do this as a cohort. So
Okay.
around June or July, I think 2018 is when we started this. We thought maybe 4 or 5 people will sign up, and our quorum that we thought of was 8 people. If we said if 8 people sign up, then we will go ahead. Otherwise, we'll just return the money to whoever pays. And since we were doing compounds, and compound comes from compounding interest and all of that, right?
Right.
So we
Right.
said let's put it up out and see what happens. And we had 24 signups, right? And we said okay, 24. Jugal,
Wow.
I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Just 24 signups, you said.
Yes, 24 signups within 2 to 3 days, right? And these were people who had been following us on social media, friends, friends of friends, and all of that. The minute we said we are launching something, people signed up. So it's 24 people, we need to put them in groups or cohorts. So then I think Raman and I were traveling for some corporate workshop somewhere, and we said compounds hai, so what should we come up with? He said let's pick something where we'll call them something, and we came up with the periodic table element names. So we said okay, the first three are hydrogen, helium, lithium. So those are the three, first three cohorts. So that's how we started. And initially it was all about habit building.
Okay.
The promise to people was that we will help you build a habit of reading, and we said
Okay.
we will do the curation. We will send you one article every day, and
Right.
you have to read, and you have to say done on the group that I have finished reading, because that
Okay.
sort of completes the loop. And we said there'll be some penalties to start with, and if you don't read, we will take you out of the group and this and that. We were a bit naive. It was more about habit building, try to pick up all those nudges that we could think of.
Right.
It started off as a pure habit building thing. Then we realized 6 months, so we would start doing cohorts, so hydrogen, helium, lithium, then beryllium, boron, carbon, all those elements came in. Over the last 2 to 3 years, the identity of CTQ compounds has evolved a bit. So after the first couple of cohorts, some people said, "Yeah, this is great. You're giving us great content, but we're not
Okay.
that interested in reading, say, content about Africa, right?
Okay.
I'm a hardcore business person. I would want to read more about business and professional articles, and not really the science and culture kind of articles, because
Okay.
initially the promise was that we will give you a very diverse set of articles, and articles were not more than 15 minutes, and the whole point was build that reading muscle. Even if it's not
Okay.
of your interest, read it, because if you get through it, there'll be something that you can connect. That was the
Correct.
promise with which we started. So
Right.
then later we sort of moved the positioning of CTQ compound. So now it's more about curated content. So we have people from the first few cohorts who have remained. They have done 3 4 seasons now, and
Okay.
that they're part of these evergreen cohorts that still continue, and it's become a
Okay.
part and parcel of their lives now. So yeah, that's the long and short of the DU compounds.
Wow, that's awesome. I think you know what, you've answered a lot of questions that I wanted to go about. So that's really great.